presence. That might have been, being a teenager, 18 at that time, they might have had more serious discussions, not in my presence. But I didn't have any feeling of animosity, neither from other people in the village, because where we went to stay is where my grandmother, the two grandmothers on both sides, they were both living in this little village, which is just a beautiful little village called Ottobeuren that has a magnificent old basilica that dates from, I think, from the 13th century or something like that, which is a major tourist site now, today. And we were staying there, and everyone was very friendly with us. I felt no animosity, and there was very little talk. I think it probably was too soon in a way. There was no talk about concentration camps. There was no talk about anything. There was very little talk about people who were Nazis. Everybody said, well, we didn't know. Most of the people said, you know, we didn't know this and we didn't know that. Now, whether it's true or not, I just don't know. And I must say then, as a teenager, it just didn't occur to me to ask a lot of questions about those sort of serious
But certainly that
things.
rubble was put there by American planes.
Yes.
Probably.
Well, American Allied planes. There were American planes, there were British planes. There weren't any French planes, obviously, but I don't have any remembrances of people being mad at the Americans. Actually, there were, but this is a little bit later on, there were quite a few American, when I finally, after visiting with the relatives all summer long, it was delightful. I don't recall any shortage on food or anything. Everything seemed to be, to me, seemed to be normal. And when I did decide to stay, we visited Munich, and then I saw that there was a university there, and I thought it would be nice to, I spoke a little German because I had heard it as a child, but then of course during the war it was impossible to speak German in the United States, so I kind of forgot a lot of it. I was interested in learning the language again, learning it better, and being able to read and write in German, and a little more about the German culture. And it just sort of fell into place. I said, this is great, I'd like to stay here. I know it was a surprise to my parents. They thought I'd go back and go to college somewhere in the United States or do something else. But they were in agreement with that. And one of the reasons that they were in agreement, I think, is that, first of all, they felt secure by the fact that there were relatives around. It wasn't as if they were leaving me in a foreign country, way far away, without anybody nearby, without a family member nearby. And then also that, another thing was that was important, is my mother had money that had been held back by the Nazis. You couldn't take any money out of Germany for many, many, many years. And my mother had a considerable sum of money in Germany. And she had no intention of taking this back to the United States, this money. And so she said, it's for you, you study, use that. And so I was all set as far as housing and renting a place to live, and having, I bought a bicycle and being able to live. I just had sufficient funds to live off and be comfortable with, which was important too.
And so you announced you were going to stay, and there was money to do it with.
Okay. So that's what happened. They returned, my father had to return for work, obviously, and my mother went with him, and they returned to the States, and it was settled that I would go to Munich.
Look at me.
Yes, that's all right.
That's right.
And that I would need a place to live. And having been graduated from a private Catholic girls' school that was run by the the Mothers of the Sacred Heart. My mother, I don't know how she found out. She found out that the Mothers of the Sacred Heart had a student home for young girls who were attending the University of Munich, and there was a room available for me. And I think that reassured her also that I would be surveyed a little bit.
Stay in a nunnery, huh?
No, it was really just a student home.
Right, it wasn't novices becoming nuns.
No.
It was
a student home run by this Mothers of the Sacred Heart, which was the same order that ran the school that I attended in Grosse Pointe, Michigan. So there was this nice room there. I remember it was a very nice, spacious room there. And I met some very delightful German girls and other girls from other countries as well. And one person I especially met, who later became very famous in the sense that it was Prinzessin Sachsen-Meiningen, and she, Putti was her name that we called her. She later married Otto von Habsburg, who is the descendant of the Austrian-Hungarian throne, and today still she is married to him. And she was